launched directly into the continuous minute-by-minute forensic reconstruction of a tragedy that redefined human isolation. Imagine the year 1801. You are standing on a cluster of jagged rocks 20 miles off the coast of Wales, known as the Smalls. The lighthouse here is not a stone tower. It is a wooden cabin perched on top of 9 massive oak pillars, standing like a spider above the violent Irish Sea. You are one of 2 keepers, Thomas Howell and Thomas Griffith. You have been partners for years, but there is a severe, calculated power dynamic between you. You hate each other. The atmosphere is heavy with a silence that is not peaceful, but predatory. Suddenly, the sky turns the color of a fresh bruise. A storm begins that will last for weeks, cutting you off from the world. In the middle of this chaos, Griffith falls ill. He is dying in a space no larger than a closet, while the wind tries to shake the cabin into the sea. Imagine the intense expressions of Howell as he watches his rival gasp for his last breath. Every crime leaves a trace, but here, the trace is a dead man in a room where you cannot escape his presence. This is the start of a dossier that explores the biology of madness. It is a messy and unsolved psychological descent. Howell is now alone with a corpse. He knows that if he throws the body into the sea, the authorities on the mainland will arrest him for murder. To prove his innocence, he must keep the body. He must live with it. The natural lighting of the storm, a mix of flickering oil lamps and strobe-like lightning, creates a powerful sense of an enduring mystery. Every crime leaves a trace, and the trace here is a man becoming a ghost while he is still alive. This case does not personalize. It reconstructs the raw, clinical terror of the Smalls. We are analyzing the continuous psychological pressure of a man trapped between a storm and a grave. The archive is open. The investigation into the madness of the granite prison begins now. The coffin on the rail. The investigation begins with a domestic trace of survival. Visualize the cabin. It is cramped, smelling of salt, old wood, and the creeping scent of decay. Howell, a cooper by trade, realizes he cannot keep the body inside. The clinical reality of decomposition is a forensic problem he must solve alone. He builds a coffin out of makeshift boards, using his skills as a carpenter to create a wooden shell for his partner. But the storm is too violent to keep the coffin on the deck. He has to lash it to the outside railing of the lantern gallery, right outside the window. This is a trace of desperation, a critical psychological data point. Every time Howell goes to clean the glass or check the light, he is inches away from Griffith. Then, the sabotage of the wind occurs. The storm breaks the coffin. The lid is ripped away, and the body of Thomas Griffith is partially spilled out, his arm caught in the wind, knocking against the glass of the window as if he is trying to get back inside. Imagine the rhythmic, severe sound, tap, tap, tap. A dead man knocking for his partner. This is a messy and unsolved torture of the mind. The natural soft light of the moon, when it occasionally breaks through the clouds, illuminates the sight of a gray, decaying hand waving in a gale. The intense expressions of Howell, recorded in his later journals, speak of a man whose reality was fracturing. Every crime leaves a trace, and the trace here is the sound of bone against glass. We follow the minute fragments of this isolation to the edge of sanity. The knocking guest, launched directly into the minute-by-minute reconstruction of the conflicting evidence of Howell's behavior. When the relief boat finally arrives after the storm subsides, they expect to find 2 men or 2 corpses. Instead, they find one man who has become unrecognizable. Howell's hair, once dark, has turned completely white. His eyes are wide, fixed on a horizon that only he can see. This is a biological trace of extreme trauma. The power dynamic has shifted. The ocean has won. The forensic team finds a lighthouse in perfect working order. The light never went out. This is a severe conflict in the narrative of madness. How does a man who is losing his mind maintain the complex mechanics of a lighthouse? It suggests a calculated, almost mechanical discipline used as a shield against insanity. We analyze the probability. Did Howell kill Griffith to end the silence, only to find that the silence of a corpse is louder? A macro shot of the iron railings where the coffin was lashed shows deep grooves in the metal, not just from the storm, but from the constant vibration of the wooden box. The composition of this mystery is built on the friction between duty and horror. The ocean is the witness that cannot speak. Faint lightning bolts connect the graphic and text elements. The natural palette of the cold Atlantic creates a powerful sense of an enduring mystery. Large, bold, white text Mind 74. Every crime leaves a trace. Can you find it in the white hair of a survivor? The white-haired sentinel. Think about the legal dossier that followed. The authorities in 1801 were faced with a messy and unsolved question. Was there a crime? There were no witnesses. The body of Griffith was too decomposed to provide a clear clinical cause of death. Howell was never charged, but the psychological sabotage was complete. He never returned to the sea. The power dynamic between the lighthouse board and the keepers changed forever because of this case. They realized that two men are not enough to maintain a mind in total isolation. From that day forward, every lighthouse in Britain was required to have at least 3 keepers. This is the forensic legacy of the Smalls. The intense expressions of the board members as they listened to Howell's testimony were the final emotional trace of the event. They saw a man who had looked into the abyss and seen his own reflection. We are analyzing the mechanics of a messy and unsolved deletion of a man's spirit. The natural lighting of the courtrooms, where truth was sought but never fully found, contrasts with the violent spray of the rocks. Every crime leaves a trace, and the 3-keeper rule is the trace of Griffith's knocking hand. We proceed with the final breakdown. The rule of 3. Visualize the Smalls today. The modern lighthouse is a tower of stone, built to replace the wooden spider that nearly killed Howell. The dossier of the Smalls is a study in how an environment can become a weapon. We are analyzing the biology of fear and the conflicting clues of a man who survived by becoming a machine. The minute-by-minute reconstruction of the relief crew's arrival shows them afraid to touch Howell, as if his madness was contagious. He has a mind for the truth, but the truth is buried in the deep water surrounding the rocks. The composition of this mystery has been preserved as a warning. The intense expressions of those who visit the site today are the final emotional trace. Every crime leaves a trace, but some are so deep they are carved into the very stone of the lighthouse. We proceed with the final forensic breakdown of the power dynamic. Stamped text Sabotage confirmata from reference. Large, bold, white text Mind 74. Minimal neon present, primarily high contrast natural lighting. Depth of field is critical. Faces core detailed, partially obscured. Every crime leaves a trace. The ghost of the Irish Sea. The minute-by-minute forensic reconstruction of the Smalls tragedy is now concluding. 2 men went to the rocks. 1 man returned, and 1 man stayed forever in the memory of the waves. The dossier of Thomas Howell is a quiet man that refuses to forget the sound of knocking on glass. The trace is found in the rules of the sea and the white hair of a broken keeper. We look at the intense expressions of those who study the case, and we see the biological cost of total isolation. But as for forensically focused investigators, we also see the mechanics of a messy and unsolved survival. We know that a lash mark on a railing and a set of white eyes are the fingerprint of a final, severe dynamic. Every crime leaves a trace, and the wind of the Smalls is a trace that never stops screaming. Your mind is the final piece of this dossier. Join our community of keepers of the cold files by clicking the subscribe button. Help us track the traces that the sea tried to wash away. I am your guide through the darkness, and I will return with a new dossier very soon. Keep your mind sharp. Keep your eyes on the light. And remember, silence is the loudest trace of all. Until next time. Large, bold, white sans serif block text wraps along bottom curve, consolidated, focused, maximum impact below, shield states. The unsolved truth about abduction, cover-ups, and unsolved vanishment. Subscribe and leave your like. Diagonal fractures, purplish electric sparks. Every crime leaves a trace. Can you find it?